Well, I know we can get live.
Oh, we can always.
We're live.
We're live.
We Don't Start a Band podcast is back live on YouTube.
Woo!
Let's start the recording.
Yeah.
Anchors away. Make crowd look good for the audio. This is episode number 31 of the Don't Start a Band podcast with the Polite Heretic.
Yes.
Also known as Dalton. What was the last
Show
one?
and tell show.
Tell show. Okay. We were talking about it before we started the podcast, and I knew that he told me, but I was like, I am not going to try and
Names are weird.
Yeah. So I thought I'd let you kick that part off.
Well, thank you.
So thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
First one back in the studio, actually in a while since I had Pacific Nerve in here, and that was when it was cold outside.
Okay.
And now it's fucking 90 degrees.
I know, right?
Tell everybody a little bit about yourself, how you got into music, and how you got to July 3rd, 2019.
Well, back in 1864, I reckon. Let's see how far back. I mean, if we're talking about when
you were a seed within a seed within a seed.
When the universe began. No, I got my first guitar. I was 10 when I got my first guitar. I had one of my grandmas sent me some Fender Here You Go with an Esteban VHS tape, and I got it for Christmas, and I was like, oh, this is a thing that exists, and it just didn't really click with me yet. I was still.
Was it like a Squire or was it a Fender local?
It was like a Fender Squire, but it was like this weird QVC Esteban model.
Oh, okay.
Like if you get the tapes, you get this guitar.
Like a Costco guitar.
Exactly.
That was my first one. It was a Starcaster.
Okay. Starcaster.
Yep.
I know exactly what you're talking about, actually.
Fresh out of Costco.
Oh, yeah. That balsa wood fretboard, bud.
Hell yeah. I learned a lot of Blink-182 on that guitar.
As you should. That's what Starcasters are best for.
I think it was Blink-182 and Alkaline Trio and any pretty song that I thought a girl would like.
Yeah. For me, I didn't even really start connecting guitar to girls or anything within my world until I was like 15. I got a Maxi Strat from my older adopted brother, gave me and like a 15-watt Johnson amp. It was
just to be clear, there's nothing wrong with Maxi Strat.
No, they're the best starter.
And B, you can put regular Stratocaster pickups in it and make it sound just fine. That's what I do with my Jazzmaster.
Oh, there you go.
Put like Jazzmaster pickups in it. Sounds wonderful.
Right on.
Hell
yeah.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. No, I basically diddled around on that and listened to Avenged Sevenfold. I know it was a big one. I had to get out of my Creed phase because that was unfortunately the first album I ever got.
You know what? We all had one.
Oh, man. It's dark times.
Yes.
Dark times. But we made it out.
We've all had phases.
Yes.
I mean, Good Charlotte was good for a while.
Until they weren't.
Until you got older and learned that all the big kids said that they were not good.
Yeah.
That must have been hard, though, being a fan of Avenged Sevenfold and starting to play guitar. Because, thankfully, I was a Blink-182 fan. Those guitar parts are not hard. But you hear Avenged Sevenfold and, that's almost...
It was a lot to bite off. And I grew up on the other side of the state. So I grew up in Delta, which is a very conservative ranch town, farm folk. There's about 3 guitars and maybe 2 musicians in the entire town. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
And so there's not a lot of influence to draw off of. And so, yeah, finding Avenged Sevenfold and what else was it? POD. Yeah, just certain riffs, like especially because it was around the Waking the Fallen, City of Evil era, and so
Okay.
very riff centric
Yeah.
Avenged Sevenfold. It was a lot, but I looked at it and I was like, it was the first time I could see sound moving, if that makes sense.
It
Like
does make sense.
like with Blink-182, that was a really good example. Like you knew they were making sounds, but you
Yeah.
couldn't intonate it as to where it was.
Well, yeah, because before you play an instrument, it's just all coming at you at once at the same time. But then you start like playing guitar or like, playing drums, and then you hear the different parts, and then you see it almost moving as if it's Guitar Hero or Rock Band.
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
know?
You just see how it all glues together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
So you started learning Avenged Sevenfold?
trying to. I didn't. Metal has always been this home I could come to, even if I'm bad at metal.
My bad. Hold on.
It's all
YouTube
good.
Live. I don't know if they can still see us.
I mean, to be fair, I can't see me most of the time.
YouTube.
Hey!
Okay, good. We're still here.
There.
I'm turning off my fucking phone.
I'm just
Damn me.
It's your fault. I'm just kidding. Where were we? We were at Avenged Sevenfold and talking about
Learning Avenged. Metal being your home.
metal being this home I could come to, because I suck at writing metal, and I hate admitting it, but it's also something I know. It's like metalcore back in the day. That was very kind to me. Just a little bounce back. Yeah. So I could always have fun with that. And then that's kind of how my musical journey started, because I went to college in Grand Junction for like a semester for music business right after high school. And I decided that was not what I wanted to do.
And then you bolted out of Grand Junction.
Yep, as fast as I could, and got up to Denver because there's more than 3 venues within a 100-mile radius.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was just, do I want the real life experience versus this textbook fed thing that might have worked 10 years ago? So
I mean, I know some wonderful people that live in Grand Junction, but some of those wonderful people will also tell you that Grand Junction may not be the place to be.
Yeah. And that's pulling teeth to get that answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's we've played there, been there a couple of times, obviously, and it's cool for a weekend, walking down Main Street.
Yes.
Going to the Mesa Theater, it's cool.
Yep.
But
then you get to leave.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly. And if you're gonna, start a musical journey, Denver is definitely a good starting point.
Yeah.
And when was this?
I got up to Denver full time like end of 2012, start of 2013.
Okay.
And then after that, I went through a couple of those, bands that don't do anything. Like I remember what is now Uncultured Swine, back when it was I Set Sail. I remember doing guitar for them for a little bit and nothing got done, but that wasn't anyone's fault. It's just where the bloom was at the time. And then
I've definitely had a couple of those.
Yeah, it's those phases. They're good stuff.
You have to.
Yeah.
Because that teaches you what not to do.
Exactly.
Or,
it's paying dues.
How to be productive as opposed to what you're doing.
Exactly.
I had a project called John Mooney and the Sunscreen Sideburns.
Okay.
Which I plan on returning to one day.
It shall live.
But at the time, it just...
Not lining up?
Nope.
Yeah, that happens. Happens.
Not that time.
Yeah, maybe next time.
Anyway.
So after I Set Sail, I had a mutual friend from Cedar Edge named Jordan who knew I was looking for a band. I had a $200 Dean guitar, and gosh darn it, I had it tuned to drop B. Let's get things done. Yeah. And so he introduced me to what is now Under Auburn Skies. And
those guys we're working on setting up a podcast as well.
That's gonna be good. They do good on podcasts. They do.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I haven't. Sorry, AJ and the rest of the guys. I haven't watched your other podcasts.
But you should listen to the After Image EP because it's really good. But,
Definitely.
back when we were still called Refusing Anubis. And again, that was pretty much an I Set Sail thing. Nothing got done. We got some really cool logos out of it though. And then that turned into I the Captive. And that was essentially the same folks. We switched up a drummer, got a new vocalist. And then that was the first thing that actually gained a little bit of traction. Like we had an EP ready, we're getting some shows ready.
Hell yeah.
But I was basically a fill-in at that point. So I was learning the parts and I was playing the parts, but I wasn't writing the parts or, contributing my own flavor to it. And so,
which is cool for a little while, but
it's great to get your feet wet there.
Yeah.
Because, it's paying dues again. So and I still love everyone that's in that band. I have no ill will with any of them. But after a while, I realized that I wanted to see what I could do just by myself. And this is around the same time that I've found out about bands like Chon and Polyphia and Covet and that whole instrumental scene over here.
Hell yeah.
Which is something that really resonated with me. And it just someone wanted to run with. And so I decided to leave I the Captive and I tried to do metal at first. I had a weird thing that got a practice off. It was called Sacred Chaos, and it lasted one practice. And I was like, nope, we're doing Polyphia stuff. No doubt. And so
that's the most out of I guess I Set Sail's not, but it's a lot more normal than Refusing Anubis.
Yeah.
That's a lot of U's. Well, I guess it's like 2, but still, it feels like it's 30.
I know exactly. It feels like it takes a while. That was definitely a discovery phase for everyone because that had a Pat from It's Always Sunny in Tijuana who I went to high school with. And then,
damn.
Yeah, we go way back. It was just weird to now be able to look at just where the development was happening. And so, I think that pretty much gets to July 3rd. Pretty much. I've been listening to Chon and Covet, chilling in my basement, just writing some weird stuff.
Nice. So from there, you just kind of started writing? Or you just started learning that style?
Started learning that style / writing because I had always been doodling around in my bedroom, like after I had the Captive practice or whatever.
Yeah.
I'd still go try to write my own thing, but it was still trying to get shoved into this metal cookie cutter that just wasn't meshing with me. And so started teaching myself how to produce and mix with synthesizers and learn Serum and all the stuff that goes into that. And just kind of learning that style and learning the intricacies of why does this sound this way and why does this sound that way. And it was really interesting. And on the whole other side, I never stopped writing poetry. That's something I've just always done since I was 15. And it's just been this the way metal was a home to me, poetry is my bedrock home. If metal fails, I can still go to poetry.
Yeah. So. Well, thankfully, both those things kind of go hand in hand.
Right.
So you're kind of learning the styles, writing things. When did you decide okay, I got, a solid foundation. I'm going to slap a name on this, i.e. Polite Heretic, and move forward with it?
That was, I believe, August of last year. I had just released my second poetry book and it had sold out. And so I was like, well, now I need something else to do.
Yeah.
Because what do you do after your book sells out? And do something else.
What do you mean sells out?
I'm oversold. I technically am on back order, but it's.
Do you make them yourself?
Yeah, I have a publishing software that I use. It's called Bookwrite, and so I've been doing that.
That's fucking awesome.
Thank you.
How do you get that out there? Not that I plan on releasing poetry, but
I mean, share. I mean, just how do you get anything out there?
Yeah,
it's
that's true.
Putting every post and ounce of energy you have into it, and just letting people know that you got a little piece of your soul that you can hold in your hand, and here you go.
Yeah.
And so you can spread that around however you see fit. But yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Quick side note. Have you ever heard of a band called, I think they're called Marafiki or Marafiki?
I just opened for Makari. I haven't heard of Marafiki though.
So I met this dude. My group that I was with had left me by myself at Red Rocks when Death Cab for Cutie was here.
Okay.
And this dude just came and like sat down next to me, and there was like a ton of space on either side, but he just sits right next to me. And I forget what the artist's name was that was playing before Death Cab, but it wasn't for me.
Right.
And
Okay.
so I turned to him and I was like, you came to see her, didn't you? And he was one of those people who just can't say anything bad about anything. And he goes, I really like the style and blah, 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 blah. Like,
he lives in the pre-butt.
Yeah.
Like that whole,
I know.
But he never says butt.
If you think about it though, how important is the butt?
Well,
okay.
The butt is vital.
How important is, like, how come people don't just stop at the I like this?
Because
why do you have to continue with the I
there's
like
this socially implied need for gratitude, or like I'd call it just being, I don't want to say a facetious prick, mostly because I can't pronounce it without stumbling, but there's just this implied, there's so much support and care and love and genuine understanding here, but they throw that but at the end, and I don't know, I think both sides of the butt are equally important.
Both cheeks, dude.
Both cheeks.
Yeah, it's almost like people trying to establish something in common with other people through the means of negativity.
Yeah, and where did that come from?
Yeah. Why don't you just say what you like? Yeah,
and I mean that's kind of where Polite Heretic came from. The idea it came from a Silent Planet song.
So I should have looked this up before, and a lot of people are probably gonna say that I should have already known. What's a heretic?
A heretic is someone who just generally is opposed to what society holds as norms. So like it's just someone who opposes generally accepted ideals and ways of thinking. And so
because for some reason I was thinking like a heretic was like an anti-religious figure.
In some ways it is. It kind
probably more so back in the day when religion was more of a
heresy.
Okay.
Exactly.
So I wasn't too far off.
No, and it really is, like, honestly, but by definition, that's what it is, but it is very inherent upon context. Like, for example, there's a Silent Planet song called Orphan, and there's a lyric that says, if love is a sin, I'll become the heretic. And so I really resonated with that just because, it's 2019 and people are either commercializing or dismissing love entirely, and I think there is a lost genuine spark that
for sure
is vital to just existence as a whole. But that's me listening to Chan again.
I mean that's a very refreshing perspective, and now like you having explained that, the Polite Heretic, somebody who opposes the shit, but you're not like going out and searching for conflict.
Yeah, we can still disagree and still get along. Like we don't have to be at each other's throats because we're on different sides of the topic, whatever it be.
That's another thing is people can't just disagree.
No,
like
everything's such a tragedy.
Yeah, it's so one-sided for a lot of people. But I play with this thing. It's called the kendama.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm smelling what you're stepping in.
Yeah, I'm slightly obsessed.
Slow, right, bro?
Yeah, exactly. but I'm on this page, the Facebook Kendama community, and I had a question I wanted to ask just because like everybody posts their videos and it always has like the lo-fi hip hop or EDM
Right.
as like the music behind it. And I just wanted to ask why, but I went into like a half a paragraph explaining I'm not against it. I'm not looking for anything like that. I'm honestly just curious and would like to have a healthy conversation.
Yeah,
I believe that you can disagree. I mean, obviously, there's people who are in the wrong, i.e., KKK, psychopaths, shit like that.
Yeah,
obviously,
extremist
but
shit. Yeah.
As far as like what you like musically or how you feel about certain topics, I feel like you can disagree.
You
and
can.
Everything's okay as long as you're not infringing on other people.
Yeah, I think there's a large facet of that.
Hence the polite.
Yeah, just don't be a dick. Crazy concept.
Don't be a fucking dick.
I think like sarcasm through text, like that's a very hard thing to emote, right? And
just
so I think
skip it altogether.
Well, I think that disagreeing with someone and still maintaining that connection, I think that's very much a still in-person thing that can happen. Ideally, it can happen online, but the internet is still this weird fabricated fourth dimension we've stuffed into a third dimension, and we're trying to put our entire third dimension selves into that one, and it just doesn't translate well.
Well, it's crazy how much people are pulling out of that third dimension. Like they get sucked in, transformed, and then try and like pull it out. Like, have you ever noticed some people speak in memes?
Oh, I do. I definitely do.
I don't have anything against it, but I remember like,
the camera will steal your soul, man.
Yeah. First couple of times hearing it when people are like,
catch me outside. How about that?
Not even that.
No.
When you're, with somebody and that moment when you realize you're live on YouTube and it's like, yeah, I guess we're in that moment.
Yeah. Cause all moments are moments,
I guess. But, getting stuck in that, especially because I mean, it's good because so many people are communicating with tons more people that they probably would have never communicated with, but
at what cost?
Yeah. Well, and when there's, you've never met this person, you don't know their sense of humor or anything like that. You hear it in your own tone, how you might say these things or respond to these things. And, if you're a negative person, you're automatically going to assume that people are being negative.
Exactly. Yeah. I think this is like baby steps right now. Like in 100 years, they're going to look back and be like, oh man, they didn't know what they were in for. And so I think
they're going to look at videos like this and be like, what the fuck were they doing?
They had to point the camera at it and do just all the weird technical stuff we have to do now. Like we're still evolving. I don't know why this doesn't come up more. Like humanity never stopped evolving. Like, at least in my opinion, I think we're still going up the curve to whatever this is. Like,
well, and to try and think that we should have it all figured out right now. I mean, that's the thing about, people that are our age who get disappointed that they don't have X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
But why,
exactly. Well, the whole point for me, I think a good theory is that the fact that we get to ask why at all is kind of the point, because people who do have X, Y, and Z, they're very bored and they don't know what to do now that they have X, Y, and Z. And so they look at,
or they never wanted to obtain X, Y, and Z.
And it just kind of fell in, and they wake up and they're like, oh, I'm trapped by X, Y, and Z.
Grass is always greener, right?
Mm-hmm. Every time.
Except for that whole desk job thing.
That
doesn't jive with me at all.
Good benefits, though. Great benefits.
I fucking guess so. Benefit is you get that big butt.
Exactly. You gotta stay thick for the government benefits, bud.
I guess. You gotta cash in on the insurance.
Absolutely.
So circling back to the Polite Heretic, I love little tangents like that, especially if it's meaningful and you're talking about philosophical things like that.
Yeah.
So is that kind of, does your poetry revolve around the mentality behind the Polite Heretic, or did you kind of adopt what you were writing in your poetry into what you hope to achieve out of the music?
Kind of both. That's a really good question. I'm gonna go with both, and also yes, because
like when you first started writing poetry, it was probably like things that you were feeling that you just like put straight to paper.
Yeah, and that's kind of still how I approach art at all. Is as I am a meme. I am in this moment, and in this moment, I am feeling this, and so
talk about a terrible band.
I know, right?
I don't like that.
I know, just the worst.
Anyway, sorry.
No. So if I'm writing poetry, it definitely does go down these two different routes, because I've always got that creative energy going, and if I feel like gearing more towards my mouth, then I'll try to put it into words and put it onto paper right then, just whatever's choosing to come out at a particular point. And if it's music, I'll go the different way, but the same side of the coin. And so I'd say I write and play music the exact same way. It's just I am the Polite Heretic, but so can you. You know what I mean? It's living for a living, and that's your art. And learning to.
That's fucking deep, dude.
Man, that's Buddy Wakefield and Listener. That's not
Listener's fucking tight.
Yeah.
That song Wooden Heart
changed my life, man. I'm getting asleep from that song.
Hell yeah.
Straight up. Yeah.
Gives me chills every time I listen to it.
You ever heard of Buddy Wakefield?
I have not.
Buddy Wakefield. This is from a Ken Archine poem.
Oh, okay.
And he's a Denver local for a while. He was in New Zealand now with his girlfriend, and they're amazing. Yeah.
Who was that guy that used to travel around with like Being as an Ocean?
Hotel Books?
No, I like that too.
Levi the Poet?
Yes, that's what it was. The guy that like between sets he'd get on stage.
And he's got a little projector.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean, the first time I saw him, I think Being as an Ocean was headlining at the Marquee, and like he had nothing. He just got up and was like, "Yo, I'm gonna say some poetry," and it was like some heavy shit, and everyone's just
he dropped like kaleidoscopes, and everyone just like, okay, I guess I'm gonna
enjoy the next band, and it's like
picking up their lungs and parts off the floor.
Yeah.
Gave me all these feelings, and now I have to drive home.
You know what?
He's fantastic.
It was honest though.
Yeah, the dude will get you right in the ventricle.
Oh yeah.
I'm just gonna grab it and rub it a little bit,
and then blow it up.
Yes.
So a question I get all the time when you're actually approaching a song, what comes first, the lyrics or the music? I have a feeling you kind of already answered this. And I have a feeling I know what you're going to say, but
should I just say it for the record? Or?
Yeah, go into detail on it for other people, because that's kind of what this podcast is about. I mean, it's don't start a band until you hear from these people.
Okay, because I was wondering about the vibe
that's
on
what
that.
It's supposed to be. Like one time I asked this band to be on, and they were like, "Is this a fucking joke?" I was like, "Oh, I don't think so."
Is it?
But yeah, it's kind of one of those things, because for people who like podcasts who might not be musicians, they probably honestly, wonder about every single band.
Okay,
comes to be.
Well, I mean, for the reason I kept them separate is because writing like Tron and Polyphia and all those bands, it's usually very complex tappy guitar stuff, so it doesn't leave a lot of room for you to.
Do you like Tiny Moving Parts?
I do like Tiny Moving Parts. Dude, they just got signed. I've been following Tiny Moving Parts for a bit. I'm so happy for those guys.
I'm stoked for their next record, the new single they released.
That was
rad.
Fire.
Yeah, I like the effect they're using on his vocal, and
it was very well produced.
Because Swell and Celebrate were like kind of, it almost seemed like one long record, It had like a similar sound and feel, and this feels more like
they went into a studio and made an album.
Exactly.
Yeah, which I'm very stoked to hear from them, because I feel like they do very good work with that. But
anyway, back to tappy.
Yeah, back to tappy weird stuff. There's a lot of tappy weird stuff, and
it's probably hard to like just freestyle lyrics.
And to do words over that. I mean, just the weird trance-like state you can get yourself thrown into. I mean, ideally, you're just sitting there, just getting into it. Just
what was that again?
Just lost to the world, man.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, just plugged in and going.
I fucking love that.
Yeah, but what I realized when I would get to that part when I had it all dialed in is that I can't do them at the same time. It's very hard to say a lot of wordy words while you're doing a lot of riffy riffs. And so,
I mean, if you're gonna freestyle it though, it's almost like you have to work with the exact rhythm that you're doing.
Exactly. But like people like Naya Azumi, he the guy who won a Tiny Desk.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, he's incredible. But I realized that I didn't want to have to half-ass two things to put them together. So I'll leave this undiluted words thing over here and let it have its own life, and then do the same thing with music. So for me, when I approach a song, it's definitely, I think the general groove will hit, and I'll just get it in my head of like how I want to move and how I want the people to move. Because when I play live, that's what I'm shooting for. This is a moment that we're all in. Let's move thusly, because I think a musician is a conductor of any given moment. And
for sure.
Learning to connect all the people in that moment and getting
that's got to be hard though with like math rock and odd time signatures and stuff like that. Like you're gonna explain to me exactly what math rock is, but I know roughly that it's different time signatures. It's
I cheat.
1, 2, 3.
I do straight 4 standard tuning, but because math rock by definition is extended chords, odd time signatures, and that's generally the Tool rule.
And odd like rhythms and shit.
Odd rhythms like polymeters and
offbeats, dotted eighth notes, shit like that.
Diet jazz.
Okay.
Yeah.
Diet jazz.
And so what I wanted to do is coming from the new style metal gent world and that whole meme into the math rock meme is
gent just goes.
And see,
if you don't know what that is, YouTube or Google search, it's DJENT, and just look it up and you'll understand. If you're anything like me, it'll just go. Yeah.
It's weird.
It's incredible. I mean, you should probably get like, I don't know. I was going to say you should probably get high and then you'll be like, okay, I can kind of feel it. But then I could also see if you got like really
so it just gets attacked by after
and
the
then
burial.
You're just like, might give you anxiety.
Whatever helps you groove.
Yeah.
Get into the groove and then just ride the wave.
Just know with gent, there's a high possibility that you will never find that groove.
Oh yeah, definitely.
For me, I can respect it being a drummer and like respecting rhythms. I can respect that they're doing some crazy shit, but as far as like listening to it, I try and process it too hard and it hurts my brain. And it's like, you know how some people can't text and walk at the same time? It's kind of like that.
You can't
do anything else. I have to listen to that and only that.
Yeah, that's how, because I listen to a lot of like Between the Buried and Me and weird stuff like that. And that's
did Animals as Leaders do kind of some shit like that?
In terms of
like gent.
Oh yeah, well,
rhythms and
Tosin, he took Victor Wooten, the bassist, he took his thumping technique and literally reinvented it. So yeah, he's definitely done.
Victor Wooten's a bad motherfucker.
But where were we? Something about how I write a song in the groove.
Oh yeah, lyric. Yeah. Well, it started from lyrics and music.
Yes. So once I figure out how I want the folks in the moment to move, I decide what that moment looks like, because it's all an envisioned moment. Every song has this ideal, perfect setting that I'll know while it's playing if I'm in it. Like when the show goes really well and you're like, oh, okay, this is it. We're here. Yeah. And so that's really what I'm living for is looking for those moments. Yeah. And so finding out
it's almost like those moments where you transcend the stage, and it's almost like, when you get up there, you're trying to like pull people in, And I get to a point, like, no offense, nobody like take this the wrong way. I get to a point where I almost don't care if anybody else is digging it because I am so
You're
into
in it.
And
because you play music for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of times when you get into that state, people will recognize it and resonate with it. So
and that's a big, big deal because it is just me up there. And so I would love to just cozy up and be like, yeah, I'm in the zone right now.
Yeah.
I'm just playing for me. Cool.
But you have to have like that commanding presence
exactly.
and then that introverted, like,
it's balancing
technical.
Yeah. It's learning to ride the waves and bring everyone up with you, because if you want to be all Wookiee about it, you're not transcending the stage. You are the stage, and everyone behind the stage and all that good stuff. And so you're bringing everyone along for the ride, and it's only up if you play well. So it's
I don't know. See, I feel like even if you mess up, if you have a good attitude about it, like, people will respect the fact that you are a musician actually playing an instrument. You know what I mean?
And that's kind of what happened to me at Seventh Circle.
Yeah. Everybody wants to know that everybody else is human.
Exactly. And that's a big thing about when folks say, oh, I could never do that. Or you really could. It's just your priorities as a fellow human who is just as human as me. They just have you prioritize towards something else. Like, if you really wanted to, you as a person could totally choose to do this.
And if you're not a musician, comparing yourself to a musician is a losing battle 100% of the time.
Well,
if you think it's anything against you that you can't do that, but you don't aspire to be a musician,
what kind of complex is that? Yeah. But I think, and this is the Wook in me again, is no one's born tone deaf.
Are you a Wook?
Oh, that's how I found Chon. Have we reached this point of the podcast? Like,
I feel like you wouldn't be.
I'm like Chad Wook. I'm like undercover.
But like you've probably seen those pages that are like the Wook hunting.
Oh, I'm on those pages.
Like a member, or like people have taken pictures.
Active. I haven't been bagged in text.
Because you're not like.
I ain't got the dreads.
Yeah, you're not.
I say I'm an undercover Wook.
You're not anything to like brag about in the Wook
community
area.
Thank you.
You know what I mean?
Thank you. And see, I take that as something I can brag about in the Wook community.
You're on that higher level, dude.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
I'd say your third eye is more open than others.
Don't tell my friends you said that. Like, they're gonna see this part, they'll be like, "Oh my god, who told him that? We're gonna have to kick his ass or something." No, but no.
I know. I'm talking about shit that I don't understand.
I know enough to know I don't know much, so it's all what you know.
Isn't that what they say, that the man who knows that he doesn't know anything, like, is
knows
smart?
All?
Yeah, or knows all, and then the man who thinks he knows everything knows nothing.
Yeah. There's a lot of wise man and foolish men in the loudness of their voice versus wise men and how seldom
the
they
choice
speak.
Of their
Oh, wow, that was a detour. Okay, where did that land us at?
The Wook.
The Wook in
talking about. Fuck, we might as well.
How I found Chon. If we've gotten to the point of the podcast where I can tell you how I met Chon, like, in my life, in terms of, we were watching. It was me and like 8 other people in an apartment. We're all tripping balls at like 2 a.m, and someone decided to put on the video, and they put on the video for Story, which is a very brightly colored, nature-oriented video. And so,
probably a little bit of a relief after metal videos.
Oh yeah, well, we were doing like Astral Body from BT Bam and like Shadow Moses. So yeah, it was very uplifting, and it just cracked me open like an egg. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, bye metal. I'm gonna go do this now. And yeah, I literally remember that moment. And it was just this girl who happened to be there. I've hung out with her like twice since. I hadn't seen her before.
Yeah.
She's just a mutual friend that came in. She's like, oh, put this on.
Floated in, fucked up your whole world. And
floated out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Damn. a defining moment like that, like, you know, I can't tell you the first time I listened to, you know, certain bands that are my favorite bands, but
Right.
yeah, existential moment like that'll change your life
It will.
for the better, right?
Yeah. Well, I had like a weird 3-year period where I was trying to have as many of those moments as possible. I have what you would call a drug addiction, and so that's been a whole theme I've gone through.
You were space traveling.
Oh, we're always space traveling, huh? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
So.
in the Wook community, and correct me if I'm wrong, is it ketamine?
Yes.
Is a big thing.
Just trying to float on to the next hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
I've heard some crazy stories about that.
Man,
personally, I mean, I've never done it, but it doesn't sound like it's for me.
Yeah, it's not for everyone. Wasn't for Ollie Sykes either. You know what I'm saying?
It's crazy that he said he was taking it like every day.
Yeah, well, that's the first time I saw The Flower of Life was on the Sempiternal album, which is where he got clean from ketamine.
Yeah.
And so, and finding The Flower of Life was another big moment for me. And so,
what is The Flower of Life?
It's the thing all the Wooks have with the overlaying rings, like
is it
kind of like this type of thing?
Yeah,
but it's
so like I've seen it. Like obviously, I've seen that album cover. Is it because I know there's sacred geometry and that whole thing, but is that thing that they used on their album cover? Is it unique to that album cover, or is that exact design in other places?
They took out like 5 rings because it's normally like a complete circle of circles, but they like edged it out and made it stylish. So it's not that design is very prevalent. Mm-hmm. Their version of it, not so much, which is kind of what The Flower of Life is a bunch of overlaying perspectives all conjoining to form one perspective. And so, yeah,
that's what it symbolizes.
I mean, to me, it can mean something to someone else.
What is sacred geometry?
Yes. Sacred geometry is, for me...
While we're on this subject...
Like, if you're going to crack open the Wook egg, all right, man.
I mean, you don't have to crack open the egg if you don't want to.
I'm down. No one ever lets me crack it open.
Hell, you know what? I haven't spent a lot of time with quote-unquote Wooks. Not by choice, just because, like, I... haven't found myself in those situations. Like I grew up in, you know, a certain scene, like going to Warped Tour, a lot of pop punk shows, hardcore shows, shit like that. And you don't really find a lot of
Wooks. There's not a lot of
other, but there are, you know, some aspects of my life, books I've read, shit like that, you know,
overlays.
Yeah, kind of overlays Flower of Life, dude. Mm-hmm. And within the last year, I got into the Grateful Dead.
Hey.
My friends fucking hate it, but
it's mine too. It's all good, man.
The thing is, and I don't know if I've said this on the podcast, but for the longest time, I was just like, yeah, it's for fucking hippies, jam bands, fuck that shit.
Yeah,
I like 3-minute songs tops.
Yeah,
not acknowledging the fact that I accidentally write 6-minute songs all the time.
Super prog, bro.
But I watched their documentary, and when they started talking about recording like Working Man's Dead and
the Rainbow Experiments and all that.
What's the other one? Working Man's Dead.
American Beauty.
That's right. And they were talking about it, and they played like Casey Jones and
Ripple.
Yeah. I was like, oh shit, this is like...
They got some bangers.
This is like, you know, folk rock.
Yeah.
Which is the shit that I like. And
Americana.
so I was like, okay, I'll listen to it. I'll separate the body odor from the music.
Yeah.
And, you know, I found that like Europe 72, the complete recordings.
That peak, man.
It's rock and roll, you know what I mean? I wouldn't even... Of course, they like... you know, expand bridges, and they have like the drums. A lot of those shows, they didn't even do drums and space. It was just drums. But, you know,
because Phil would get too high.
Yeah, they were a rock and roll band.
Yeah.
And I fucking love rock and roll. So
did you ever hear, because when you say documentary, are you talking about the one on Netflix?
So what opened my mind was the Bob Weir documentary.
Yeah, the other one.
Yeah, on Netflix.
It's incredible.
And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is kind of neat.
Like when they're in Egypt and playing with the bats swirling. Yeah. That's a crazy story.
I was like, this is unique. He's a really good guitar player. It's a really fascinating story.
Yeah.
And then somebody told me to watch Long Strange Trip on Prime. And that's what, like, after watching that, I was like, okay, I dig it.
Yeah.
I dig it.
My mom actually got to kill a bot. She's from San Francisco.
Okay.
And so she used to work across the street from the venue called the Coliseum. And the dead came through in like 84 and she had a bottle of Jack. And so she killed a bottle of Jack with Bob and Jerry.
Damn.
And Stevie Nicks came through a few months after. And mom's an old head, dude. Mom's got some crazy stories. But
damn.
Yeah, I really I love the Grateful Dead. And my friends give me a lot of crap for it too, but the Ken Kesey acid experiments are probably my favorite part of their entire story about how they would just go into this room, they had their $1 cup of Kool-Aid, and
I'm just jealous of the fact that they had a place to go where people were open to listening to them already and they got to experiment.
Well, they didn't even, and the crazy thing is they didn't know that environment was open to it because no one had tried it.
Yeah.
And so they had to wait for that moment to go up. And the fact that they were holding it together that well without half of the stuff we have these days.
That's like a super expanded version of the guy in Animal House that's playing the guitar on the stairs, like the guy who brings his guitar to the party. Yeah. That's like exactly super expanded. We're gonna bring the whole fucking band to this party.
Except everyone's fucked up.
Yeah.
And we're just gonna see how this goes. But like their legacy went from that to just like they were on the DEA website. Like you could follow LSD through America in like the 70s by following the schedule of the Grateful Dead. Like that's what DEA agents were trained to do. It's insanity.
Oh, I believe it. I mean, that was an easy, like, if you hadn't busted anybody all month, but the Grateful Dead came through, that was an easy bust.
Exactly. It's just crazy to think that that's almost 70 years ago. I mean, 50, because they came out in like 69. So that's 50, 60 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's how concentrated without internet or any of this stuff we have. They got that many people to get dedicated to this one thing.
Well, that picture that always blows my mind is the one where they pulled up like the flatbed trailer and they closed down like, what was it, like 4 city blocks or something? And it's got the picture of those people like sitting on the roof and then it's just a sea of people just because they pulled up this flatbed and chose to play for free.
And we're just there.
Yeah. And that was without posting anything on Facebook. That was all just people who were stoked about music.
Yeah. And there was just a genuine connection and drive to participate in that and also celebrate it. And that was something I've always appreciated about bands like Pink Floyd, Grateful Dead.
Yeah, you lost me at Pink Floyd.
Oh, okay. None of the Syd Barrett stuff. That dude was weird, but
I have tried, and you know what? I do respect them, their songwriting, their musicianship, the fact that their guitar player sold all of his guitars and gave it to charity.
David Gilmour, confirmed Jesus.
But it just, it doesn't hit the pleasure centers in my brain.
It's all good, man.
But I have nothing against people who enjoy it.
Oh yeah, people like
just more enlightened than me.
No, it's just people like to just zone out on one note. It's the David Gilmour, Steve Vai argument is, do you want to ride the wave or you just want to sit and cry in 6 minutes of echoes and just as opposed to it's just whatever hits your jimmies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we have water. I forgot.
I know, dude. Doing this podcast, it makes your mouth dry.
Oh God.
And sometimes talking this much, sometimes if I'm like really getting mouthy, I get a headache.
Ooh.
But I drink enough water today, so I should be good.
Good job.
So anyway, going back to the music or lyrics first, I have a feeling that you and I do we go about it in a similar way because I mean, I wrote a few poems here and there, nothing that, I ever really wanted to show to anybody, but I get like these rhymes and lyrical ideas and subject matters and shit in my head, and I'll write lyrics and keep it completely separate. I just write them in a book, and they just stay in that book. And then, like, I'll wake up, have an idea for an instrumental thing, like a melody, and I'll do that. And then, I'll bring my book into the studio and I'll just read lyrics. And sometimes it'll be like, both feelings that I have when I wrote both these things
just glue together.
Clicked. I mean, don't get me wrong, there has been times where I do the instrumental and then the way that the music, makes me feel after I've created the melody, I come up with lyrics. But I definitely have that like separate lyrics and music.
Yeah. Keeping the lyrics is like a mantra almost, because I've got like 3 separate notebooks. I have like one for poems, and then I have one for just random phrases I want to remember, and then I have one for things I'd potentially turn into songs. And I think that's my one hang up right now, is gluing those 2 things together and matching up exactly, like rhythmically, ideally, like idealistically, just all elements of both sides. It's a little tricky. It's something I'm definitely looking into, and going into it, I've definitely been music first, let it kind of lay the bedrock and pave the road of the whole moment you're in, and then kind of fill it all in with lyrics. But I've heard of people doing it exactly the opposite. I've heard of people doing it that way. It's just learning your own process is at least a third of the fun of it.
Well, yeah, and if you're writing them separate and then trying to match it to the rhythms, I could see how that would be difficult. And you got to like, break words in half and say them on different like phrases.
Syllabic counts as pertaining to how many measures you have. And you're like, I have 16 syllables to talk about the universe. Okay. Yeah, no, it's not going to fit.
No,
until it does.
I have that a lot of time, but thankfully, the songs that I write have a little more of a straight feel. But like when I do get more rhythmic and have those ideas, it is really fun, breaking up the words. And if you were to say like end a line with like I am fully in this place, blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? Like breaking it up like that. It sounds really dumb when I'm talking about it, but if you listen to songs, like a ton of people will do it,
and that's why I love Gent.
Yeah,
like going back to
Gent. It completes an idea here, and then you hear the next line, and it completes an idea.
Exactly. But I've always been fascinated with Gent, and that they've been so like that's almost like a staple of it, is that it's rhythmically matched up to the lyrics. Like Periphery does a really good job of it. Monuments does a really good job of it. After the Burial does, but just that they're saying the same thing, but by saying different things. Like you have this crazy guitar part going, but it's still matching up with the lyrics, and you can make a whole song out of it. It's that's what I always like.
Tool does that shit, and that's another one of those that it's just never clicked with me.
Gotta eat more mushrooms, man.
I'm fucking trying, dude.
That's all you can do.
I did it once not too long ago, and I think I kind of had an expectation of what I thought was gonna happen. Like I'm kind of fucking psycho, and I look shit up on the internet, and like, and basically it's a personal thing. And like, I know that I could have eaten more, trip balls, eat less, less, whatever.
Well, are you dipping your toes in the water, or are you going McKenna method? Like, are you just going 5 grams in a dark room?
Fucking Paul Stamets.
Okay.
Climbing up in a tree during a rainstorm and no.
Yeah.
This was like, it was very guided by someone who does mushrooms on a regular basis, and she didn't want me to freak out. So she
put your toes in the water.
Yeah. Gave me some, ate it, see how I felt, some a little later. So I wasn't necessarily like fucking tripping balls.
Right.
But I definitely was thinking about things that I don't usually think about, like having different perspectives.
Yeah.
And like it was almost like I get you know how like your back gets so tight and then you get it like popped and massaged and it just opens back up again.
Absolutely.
That's kind of what it felt like. And I just kept repeating this line in my head where I just kept saying, nothing changes until you do. And it was just, it was on loop in my brain.
It's your
like,
mantra, yeah.
Yeah, it was like, you know, a lyric that just wouldn't stop playing.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was just over and over and over.
That's
and
a
over.
good one.
And I was just like, holy fuck.
That's
and
really good stuff.
I woke up the next day and I just thought about it and I was like, there is a lot of shit that I complain about that I'm not doing anything about, but it's not going to change if I don't do anything about it. So
yeah. Oh man. Those trips are fun. Mushrooms are a wonderful tool. I've definitely been that guy. Like I said, I had a little 3-year period. And then this also kind of works back to your what is sacred geo question. So like it for, I guess I'll answer the first part, but in terms of having those super tripping nights, they're vital. I don't think there's any such thing as a bad trip, only challenging trips. And so being alone in the basement and just riding it out, watching Yellow Submarine and Colors Live and just sitting in the dark and learning to be okay with that. And
well, I think that's like a good thing that Bob Weir says, because like people go Grateful Dead, acid. Oh, okay, I want to do acid. But he says in Long Strange Trip, like very explicitly, the acid process is not fun. He said he's like, you got to work through some shit before you can get to the, you know, expansion.
I had a batch. I ran into a batch of Grateful Dead acid once, and I was in Montrose, where I have a lot of friends.
The bear.
Old Stanny boy. And we all dropped, and my buddy, he hadn't heard Grateful Dead before, and so I threw on Ripple. I was like, you know, Grateful Dead, la-di-da.
Yeah.
And he got through that, and then I threw on He's Gone from Amsterdam 76, and I was like, all right.
That's a good era too.
Time for the test. Well, because that's where, you know, steal your face right off your head. Like that's, if you can get through He's Gone on Grateful Dead acid, then you're good. But by the time you get to the end of it, you're just this singular wave, and you're just like, oh, I have to come back now. And yeah, it's a great way to tear your brain apart.
I've never done acid, but are you familiar? Because I know there's so much music, but the Drums in Space on the closing of Winterland.
Yeah.
That, I mean, I think it's a harmonica that he has going in the background, but like there's some kind of like trippy harmonica keyboard something. I'm pretty sure it's a harmonica because I watched the video and there's a guy like standing.
Donna probably got some, because that was winter when they had Donna around. She was always doing weird shit.
I didn't like Donna. I don't like the end of playing in the band where she just
and ruins
it. But
it.
Anyway, Drums in Space, closing of Winterland.
Yes.
I can't remember what year it is, but it's goes
84.
Into this like, it's like drums, and then just goes into this like trance. You know what it reminds me of? Did you ever play the first Donkey Kong Country?
No.
What?
I grew up I basically grew up Amish.
Okay. So if you ever get the chance, Donkey Kong Country, the first one.
I'm sorry, I'm off.
Or you could probably YouTube it. There's underwater levels where you're swimming, and there's just this sound, the music that's playing, like it just makes you like you're dense and fucking but you're like you're water. Like you are the water and you're flowing with it, and it almost probably makes the rhythm of like you're swimming in the level. You know,
and see, that's what I go for. It's things like that. That's exactly my band.
So if you can like YouTube that and just hear it, like it kind of has that feeling, like crazy drums, and then it just slides into this fucking like soothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And see, that's why I love bands like The Contortionist, which is where I got this from. It's from Language, but kind of harkening back to what Sacred Geo is for me, at least, in this context of what they call the Mother Son, which is from their Language album. Seeing moments of chaos that are structured and learning to appreciate those and saying, this
is that like the general like thesis behind Sacred Geometry?
No, I think that's mine, and I think perspective.
Because that sounds like it makes a lot of sense, because if you look at it as like one big thing, it's fucking crazy.
But it's not going to last this one big thing. It's going to globulate and turn into something else.
The longer you look at it, too, it's going to,
And then the faster, the quick up. Oh yeah, quantum mechanics, right? It's a hoot.
It's such a hoot that I don't even get it.
I know enough to know I don't know much.
Yeah.
I
know nothing.
Yeah, I am nothing. But I think perspective, if there is.
This podcast is all about sound effects.
I'm going to be Michael Winslow by the end of this.
Who's that?
No, Police Academy.
Oh, okay. See, that's the funny thing about musicians talking to musicians is when you're like, you know what I mean? You can speak in that, like, shit like that, but like other people listening are like, is this ASMR? Like, I'm confused.
They've said like 3 words in the past 5 minutes.
Yeah.
They've just been doing for like
it's drums and then into like a
people are weird.
I gotta say, this is the most sound affected podcast for sure.
All right, glad I'm filling out the room.
I like the expansion though, you know what I mean?
Cool. Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous because like I don't know what math rock is.
Neither. I know I'm not good at it though.
And that whole aspect, and sometimes I just get nervous. People I've never met before, they come on the podcast. And like theoretically, a podcast is supposed to be entertaining,
right?
And so I was a little nervous about that. But like, I feel like
am I entertaining?
Dude, you are entertaining as fuck, and I feel like in some way we have a similar thought process in the way we view. I mean, like the lyrics and music thing.
I like that. Talk dirty to me.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, no. I'm having fun too. So, because I was definitely not knowing what to expect because
nobody ever does. Dude.
Yeah, I've never been on a podcast.
Well, and that's why I don't like to do the headphones is because
I would trip myself out.
Well, yeah, some people. I mean, like I've had tattoo artists on. I had my buddy who has a clothing line. Like some people have never heard their voice like through headphones. So it's like if you don't wear headphones and this shit's just sitting here, like we're just having a conversation.
We're just kicking it in a room.
Look at myself.
Oh, look, we're on the internet.
Yeah, exactly. And that doesn't even look like we're on the internet.
But. I know it's extremely subtle.
But fuck, where was I going with that? Anyway,
something about flow.
I can't remember.
Not with that attitude.
My attitude is fucked.
Well, I mean,
I think the point I wanted to get to, because I was, preparing for this, but you are writing music and you're planning on going into the studio.
Yes.
Well, okay. Before we get to studio, playing live, do you have backing tracks?
Yes.
So like programmed drums, synthesizers, shit like that?
Yeah, I write, produce, record everything in PreSonus, which is DAW. And then I've got, Serum synths, I've got bass, I've got drums, I've got rhythm guitar, I've got a couple vocal samples, I've got, just everything's running behind me on the Mac. And that's just chilling, running. And then I do a little live looping and stuff like that, and I'm starting to look into doing a couple covers and actually put my own spin on them and not just doing a 4 on the floor cover.
For sure.
So yeah, I'm just trying to keep it innovative.
Nice. And what kind of guitar do you usually play live with?
Oh, I use a Sterling JP60 Music Man, and I love it very much. Ernie Paul makes the best guitar.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, I've got that. I use a Bias Mini for my guitar tone, which I've been really, really interested in because Positive Grid makes like a digital emulator, so you can put that into your actual DAW and then download those tones onto your actual head. So I can have the exact same tone I have in the studio as I do live. And so that's been really crucial and helpful. I love Positive Grid stuff. I've been playing that Sterling Music Man for about a year now. Oscar actually got it first. And
hell yeah.
I've got this. There's a weird inside joke where I just copy all of Oscar's stuff. Like we do have the same car and we do have the same guitar. But they've both been like weird coincidences.
Yeah.
And so you're just like, oh God, here we go again. But
that is crazy.
Yeah, it's weird how it worked out. But yeah, I love that guitar. I'm thinking about getting another Ibanez here soon. That's another thing I'm looking into. I'm always looking into more gear.
Oh, fucking same. My thing, when I started playing guitar was like, I'm not going to be one of those guitar players that uses a bunch of pedals. And if you look at my pedal board over there,
here we are.
There's a few.
How many are there?
But yeah, I'm always like, because before, our music was very like, just like indie rock, some light distortion more so as a boost.
Yeah, maybe some delay if you're feeling real freaky.
I wasn't even going delay.
Whoa, straight edge. Whoa.
Between our album and the Phantom EP, I got a reverb pedal, a chorus pedal, and the chorus pedal like changed my life and like changed our sound.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like I have turnover to thank for that. Like after hearing Peripheral Vision, like that changed my whole idea about guitar tone and like chorus and reverb and just having that like
just being able to sculpt sound however you want.
Well, and that's why like when we play live, we do like 3 songs and then I'll say something and then like 3 songs. But like I have what the fuck's it called? That Super Ego pedal, and it's like a sustain pedal.
Oh, that's that Electro Harmonics?
Yeah, it's the same one that Austin gets from Turnover has. But
nice.
Basically, last note of the song you played, and then you stomp that thing, and it just kind of like waves through.
Central Donkey Kong Country.
Kinda.
Yeah.
And then you hit the first note of the next song, turn it up, and then fucking go into that one. But yeah, it became much more about songs and music, and thank God, because I am not funny. I cannot tell jokes on stage, and the last thing I want to be, I decided it at a very young age. Like I loved Blink-182, but it's been done.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be Blink-182.
Right.
All Time Low did the same thing, making the same stupid fucking potty humor jokes.
Yep.
I don't want to be that. Sometimes like I'll get like kind of a sassy attitude while I'm on stage. And like I'll say like some kind of funny shit, but then like if I plan something to say, always falls flat.
Yeah, same. Yeah. I've gone to just catching in on the self-deprecation thing of just the totally breaking the fourth wall, being like when I'm setting up, because it takes me a little bit to set up because it's just me. So plugging wires, and it's a lot to wire up. And so usually the crowd is gathered by the time I'm almost done. And I'm just like, yeah, I should probably play something or something, right? Yeah, this is just playing off of that. That's a good intro. Yeah, it's it depends on the crowd, depends on the room. And I think that's a big part of being a performer is learning to read the room and what's going to work that night.
So all of your backing tracks are like pre-recorded and like predetermined and stuff. Like you don't do any like live producing or anything like that?
I do actually, and that's because I definitely do have my Wind Up Monkey songs of like these are the same every single time. This is how these songs go. But like for a couple, I'll like switch up some of the harmonies like while I'm playing live, and then I do have a section I devote usually like 3 to 8 minutes to it of let's see what music is in this moment, and I just build a loop off of, like, I've got my little MPK, which is going through my DAW, so I've got my 808s. I can just lay down live and loop there, and so I'll loop my 808s, and then I'll just build a little clean chord, like arpeggiated thing, and then I just got a Electro Harmonics pitch shifter, the little pitchfork pedal.
Okay, yeah.
These things are clean, and I can just throw that octave down, lay some bass track using my guitar.
Damn, that's tight.
And then I got a bias delay, which I can also customize from my computer because I can fit like 20 different delay pedals in this thing. It's got like 3 buttons on it, so it's got A, B, C, tempo, tap, and mess around with that. I've got an EXP pedal, so I can set some nice reverse delays and really just take it in and out of the water. And then I'll just crank a distorted guitar track over all that, and that usually gets me about 5 minutes of weird. And so
hell yeah.
Yeah.
And then are you singing at the same time?
Not yet, but I've been playing with live vocoder, like from within my DAW.
What is that?
The vocoder is like the piano that you talk into, and then it makes your voice all trippy.
Okay.
Yeah. So I found a couple of ways to manipulate that. It's just doing it on the fly live is a little weird because you have to have like MIDI roll already written out, and I've only got this little 26 key, so ideally I'd have like a full 88, and then I'd be doing that because I can.
And you do that now in your shows?
Not now, but
okay. That's where you're going.
I've got another show in a month, so I've got a month to prepare. So
that month goes by fucking quick.
I know, but so, I'm stoked for it.
You've been kind of hitting this hard since August, you said, of last year?
Yeah, I started writing the first song, which I have the playthrough up on YouTube, Waves. I started writing Waves in August, and then I finished writing the album on Valentine's Day this year. So,
oh, damn.
Yeah.
How many songs?
9. Yeah, it's about half an hour long.
And how many shows have you played
since
you really started?
I've done 2. I did one in Fruta, and then I did one in Denver, and then I did a poetry show in Junction, and then I actually just found out about a Globe Hall show I'm doing next month.
We're doing a Globe Hall show this month.
I heard. I'm doing the barbecue series.
I don't know what that is.
I don't either.
I am very new to knowing about Globe Hall.
Me too. But I'm very excited to see what it's all about.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but apparently they're gonna like start the show at like 3 and then just like run it through the evening. And
have a bunch of bands playing.
Yeah,
nice.
Did say it's a 45-minute set, which is longer than I'm used to. So that,
fuck yeah, I wish we had more of those.
See, I'm taking it as a blessing, but I'm definitely like, oh god, I have to. Yeah, I'm like figuring out covers. Yeah. How spacey can I make this jam? I did actually figure out how to make Bad Guy, like by Billie Eilish. I learned how to loop that like right before I came over here.
That's fucking tight.
Yeah, like I do the 808, like I got the tempo chunked out.
Yeah.
And then I loop the bass and the powder, do that same bass thing with the bass pedal.
And then you just riff over the top of it?
Oh yeah, it's just E minor, A minor, and then some weird B7 chord or something like that. And that's
like a sus7.
It's like B minor 7. It's like capo 3, 2, 1, 2, O for your tab on the string, and then bottom and top are muted. So, and those are the 3 chords for the entire song.
People who understand music.
Yeah, I'm nerding. Sorry.
For people who don't play music or understand music, that just sounded like a lot of numbers and letters.
Your fingers do that, and then they do that, and then they do that. That's what that meant.
For the people listening, he just made finger movements.
Oh yeah, there's people listening. Hi,
and they will be listening.
Oh,
so the shows, are you like when you play the shows and you're doing, there are songs that you're doing the same every time? Yeah, I definitely. Because when you go into the studio, are you gonna have like a defined structure for each song?
Yeah, definitely. I've got a map of every song, what I want, like my intros, my interludes. I know what I want it to sound like, and that's why I'm going with Esky from Soundscape, is because I don't trust anyone else to illustrate the ambiance as well.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I know, like if I say I want this synth to be like a lot more spacey, but not quite as swirly, like he'll be able to.
Yeah.
Like
For
he just
sure.
knows what I mean by that, and so it's gonna be a very much. This is what I got. Here's what we're doing. This is what I got. Here's what I'm doing, because it's a lot of MIDI, so it's gonna be a lot of just tone hunting.
Yeah.
But
it's definitely gonna be an experiment, as well as like, I mean, you can go into the studio and think that you have everything 100% planned out, but like when you get there, there definitely will be, like, you're gonna hear different things, and like working with somebody, they're gonna think like, okay, you played this chord, and then he's gonna go to this chord because it's gonna sound really good, and you're gonna hit a different chord, and he's gonna be like, well, try this, and then you're gonna be like, oh shit, that sounds fucking better.
Exactly. And if there's anyone that I know that could do that, it'd be Esky. And so I'm very confident in what he'll contribute. It is going to be a weird experiment since it's just me and him. Like I'm literally just bringing my iMac in there and being like, this is my album. If you'd like to put it on the refrigerator, I'd like that very much.
Hell
yeah. So we're just going to drag and drop essentially all the backtracks, and then it's just going to be how quick can I record all of it on guitar, because that's going to be the test.
Yeah. Well, and it's got to be, I mean, just like writing poetry, you got to know when, like, okay, I'm happy with this.
Oh yeah, but are you ever really like? No, art is never finished. Only
see, the thing is like I'll finish a song and I'll be good with it for, you know, a couple months, a couple shows or whatever, and then I'll start doing like little weird things and be like, fuck, I wish I could go back in time and put that on the record. But it just, you know,
it's
makes
hindsight.
the live show more special.
And I think that's just a character trait of creatives in general.
Well, and just getting better. If you're constantly getting better, your songs will constantly evolve.
Exactly. That's a wonderful way to put it.
And when are you going into the studio?
End of the month. I have a show at Globe Hall that technically just got confirmed for July 28th, and then I go into the studio that next day. So,
damn.
Yeah. And then I'm filming a music video with Lindsay Ray in September.
Okay. Yeah, she's in the Anchor, works with Taylor Hahn.
Yeah.
That's who we recorded with.
I when I was in I the Captive, I went to Taylor Hahn.
Okay.
And then I played with Roy Catlin, who records through Taylor Hahn.
Nice.
Yeah.
He's fucking badass.
Yeah. He does great work.
He's good at, I mean, he's definitely good at the, you know, engineering, but producing too.
Oh yeah.
The other thing is you got to tell him when to quit when he's ahead. You got to be like, Taylor, this is my fucking song. Shut the fuck up.
I know it's good. It could be 3 times as good, but I don't have the week.
That's the thing. David's just got to learn to tell him no. David, when Taylor's like, oh, you should try this, you got to tell him no. Taylor's like that dog. Taylor's a dog. Very, very well behaved, but sometimes if you're like holding a piece of food, you know, he'll try and like stretch out, try and get that piece of food. You just got to remind him, no.
Oh my God. That I haven't seen.
Taylor Hahn's a dog. Just kidding.
What kind of dog is he though? Like, is he like a beefy Doberman? Like,
nah, he's like a American Bulldog.
Would you say like a stout Jack Russell, an Australian Shepherd?
No, he's definitely like in the pit bull like family, but like a pit bull that came out of the womb and then started living with what's like a super docile animal. That's what Taylor Hahn is.
That's a really good description.
He's a pit bull, but like
a pit bull that hangs out with a sloth.
Yeah. I don't know. Fucking sloths are mean. Like I watched something that this sloth had a lady by the arm or whatever and squeezed. Like they're super fucking strong and their claws like.
Oh yeah.
Because
they just grip trees all day.
Yeah, they'll tear you the fuck up.
But see, I've seen that video of stone people getting surprised with sloths, and that was adorable.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
fucking
Maybe sloths are like people. Maybe
I look at sloths and I just think, how bad does that fucking thing stink?
Well, you gotta think it's the only animal that's literally got a cardinal sin named after it, other than cardinals. But like, yeah,
What is that?
sloth, like pride, gluttony. The 7 deadly sins. Like one of them is literally sloth or laziness.
Huh.
So like, yeah, it's sloths, man.
I did not know that.
Fun.
I've learned so much shit today.
Every day is a school day, Jake.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your plans for the Polite Heretic?
Ooh.
Obviously,
sell out and go to rehab in 30 years.
July 28th at Globe Hall. Fucking be there. Starts at 3 p.m. You should probably get there when it starts.
You're gonna be barbecue. It's gonna be great.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
July
Tickets
29th.
are gonna be like $5. It's gonna be super cheap. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. So like, this is the summer jam.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And then July 29th, you're going into the studio. And then after that, what's your plan? You know what I mean? Do you plan to find members to play in your band? Do you like doing the solo thing?
I like doing the solo thing right now.
Yeah.
I've been very inspired because
I
know YouTube can still hear us. Sorry,
YouTube.
Hey. No, I've been very inspired just by local bands. Like if you know Riley Selleck from Light Story and The Source, he's got his own solo project called Light Story, but now he's actually adding members to it. There's another guy, Dylan Quick, within the community. He's in Arturo Complex. He's got his own little solo project called Kuel. And
I feel like I'm friends with him on Facebook.
He did my logos.
Okay.
So he's designed my book covers, my album covers.
Which is very cool, by the way.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah. Dylan Quick, all your logo needs. He's going to full send it if you need it. But
hell yeah.
I watched those two in particular build out of a typical traditional band outfit and kind of just venture off in their own. And I just kind of watched like what all gear wise they needed, like how you organize your DAW and just the little technical things that would make a solo act possible. And I took a lot of direction from just watching them do it themselves, and I thought it was really inspirational. And then there's bands like Standards from California and all these other math rock outfits that are either a 2-piece or just like Pliny or C2I. It's just a dude in a bedroom, and I'm digging on that right now. I'm more than open to steal your drummer again.
Yeah. I mean, if he can make both work, by all means.
I know. I would just be.
I'll beat the shit out of him though if he fucking leaves this band.
I'm a side bitch that wants to be a main bitch, and I don't know my place, so that's my only problem. So
you know what? The thing about David is he is an insane drummer, but I've always said like he didn't take. I mean, I think he took a couple like scatter drum lessons, but he didn't go through like all the steps that I did when I was learning to play drums, like starting with jazz and then, going down the line. So like I have that like structure, that tight structure. Cause initially I wanted to be in marching band too.
Yeah.
Didn't ever do it because that's way too much fucking time.
Right.
But David, learned by listening to bands and just like hearing drums, how he heard them instead of like, this is how you lay it out. Do the cut, you know what I mean? So, if you're David's experimental.
Yeah, it's, and that's kind of what I wanted to do is that my basement is a science lab and there's not a lot of folks in town that are wanting to experiment the same way. And so I have a pretty concise idea of where I want to go with this. I just want to, as far as plans go, I just want to drop an album, play shows with that album, write another album, play more shows with that, and just live the life on it. And as far as getting more people onto it. If I find people that fit in it, then
I'm sure like once you get this album out, you start playing shows, people are gonna come to you and be like, I really like this. I play bass or I play whatever.
And that's what, if any, that's the only way I'd want it to happen is organically. I don't want to hunt for people on it, because
well, and the thing about it is it's like it's very specific and like semi difficult. You know what I mean? Like our band is like pretty straightforward. I mean, we have our full lineup, but if someone came up and was like, yeah, I'm usually a metal bass player or whatever, but I'm looking for a band, can I play with you? Like, it would work. But like if somebody wants to be in your band, that's a very specific, like they are going to like that music.
Yeah, you have to listen.
It's not just something to do, you know what I mean?
Exactly. And that was kind of what happened with the metal project that I tried to do after I the Captive was, hey, who's ever picked up an instrument ever? And that was how that went. But that's kind of why I'm doing this, is to find the weird eclectic area of it and to see what other weirdos are out there that need a place to come jam.
Niche, dude. I didn't even know, but there's like a whole like black metal niche in Denver too, and it's just crazy because like obviously my band plays like certain shows with certain bands, and we don't really cross paths with those bands.
The circuitry stay separate for the most part.
Yeah, but I mean they're playing just as many shows and have
just as big a fan base.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's weird, and that's why I love this city, is because it's not like Nashville where it's dominated by this one thing. Like, it has all of these different little areas. Like you have your hip hop scene, you have your jam scene, you have your metal scene, you have your math rock scene. Everything exists and thrives in Denver, and I think there's a way to go through kind of a line of best fit through all of them, and kind of say, all right, now what if we did a little bit of everything, and kind of just kind of try to bring everyone together, man. That's what it's all about.
I fucking dig it, dude.
Yeah,
I fucking dig it.
Get a shovel. When I see,
I'm digging it.
When I say look, I mean horrible dad jokes. It's just dad jokes.
I do that shit all the time, but they're not that quick. Usually there's something like super like easy that was just like word vomit, and then I stand there and just go until someone goes.
See, you get my friend's dynamic already. That's basically it.
Maybe I'm a fucking wook.
We're all wooks, man.
Look at me. For people on YouTube,
look at him.
And this is an ad for going to YouTube. Jake Backseaters on YouTube. Subscribe, like, and comment, whatever. Look at me. Could I fit into the wook community? I don't fucking know. Maybe.
I think you could.
You'll have to take me to a wook gathering.
Gathering?
We'll see if I run out screaming.
I'll just drop you off at Red Rocks on the weekend, pick you up on Monday.
No, I don't think so.
That's
plus I can't sleep. I can't sleep in a hammock, so
don't worry, it'll be the cold hard ground. There's no hammocks available.
I thought you guys slept in hammocks.
No, man, you're sleeping on a lot, man. We're eating.
Do you guys play hacky sack?
I think
is that still a thing?
I bet it's still a thing. It's
more
like
of a 90s thing.
Yeah. I mean, I dabble in wooks.
So what do when a bunch of wooks get together? What do?
They boof stuff. I don't know.
Boof. Oh my god.
I dabble in wookery. I've only been to one Red Rock show. I have a lot of friends who I call quote unquote wooks, but it's a very different community music wise in terms of I find the metal scene. I'm going to put this very carefully. The metal scene in Denver is all a bunch of 15-year-old dudes. We all if you're in a relationship in the Denver metal scene, other dudes in the metal scene will come hit on you and not your girlfriend. And it's the funniest thing I've seen.
Oh yeah. We're all very much
very openly affectionate.
I'm trying to choose my words correctly.
Right? Like, how do you word this?
Yeah,
because you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. We're very comfortable with each other,
Yes.
and we say things that if you said them to someone outside, quote unquote, the scene,
Yes.
they'd be like, "Get
What?
the fuck away from me!"
Exactly.
But we all like we hug
LOL
each
butts.
other and we grab at each other.
Yeah.
And, you know,
It's all
very.
It's the most wholesome butt grabbing
Yeah.
you'll ever see.
But I love it because it's all hugs.
Yeah, and so, but at the same time, you have that, and it's a very embracing and supportive scene. There's a lot of competition in the metal scene, especially in Denver, especially with Live Nation coming in, especially with all the
There's
changes.
a lot of saturation.
Yes, with all the changes that have happened in the past 5 years, it's become a very cutthroat market, which is fine. That's how industries work. But
yeah.
then you have like the math rock scene over here, which is like this weird, not as competitive, but I don't want to say judgy. I'll say, I don't want to say
there's got to be some pretentious.
There's technical snobbery.
Attitude. Yeah,
I'll call it technical snobbery of, tuning, and I feel like that's going to be in any genre, but I do feel in the math rock community, at least, it is a little more prevalent, because it's all us dang hipsters in the basements, kind of.
Damn hipsters.
God, damn hipsters. But and then I feel like the jam scene is like that, but implied. Like they're very much going off of how well people flow and how how well they carry them vibes and all that. But
I've never seen like a local jam band.
Cycles rips.
Where do they usually play?
They play your mom's house. They play. They sold out Bluebird. Like Cycles does well. I think they're on tour right now. But I've seen them at the old pizza spot I worked at, and it was solid. It was really good show. So that's definitely something that exists in Denver. It just has to something you gotta dig for a little. But there's a lot more acceptance in terms of
people wanting to be creative. Like you're down to hear more things.
Yeah, you're down to hear the weird stuff, and you're not going to immediately disregard it as experimental or odd. And it's weird balancing all of the nuances of each genre within the same city and trying to combine elements of all of those and existing in that. That's a weird one.
Well, there's always going to be bands that try and reinvent rock.
Oh, yeah.
In some way, shape, or form.
Right.
Like you have the people that'll probably listen to Chan and want to do exactly like Chan does. And then you have the people who hear everything and go, I'm going to try and do something brand new.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kudos to them. Because that's a long road of what the fucks.
You know, what a long, strange trip it's been. You know what I'm saying?
What a long, strange trip it's been with Jackie Burkhart.
God damn it. You did the thing.
I love that 70s show.
I can't control the weather, though. Damn.
Did you know that's actually one of our songs?
Oh, what?
We have a song called Cabin Fever, and it was like I had the lyrics and stuff, but we were talking about that episode and how much we love that episode. And, just that, well, damn, Jackie, I can't control the weather. And so the bridge goes in, like David's just doing this roll, and like we're just hitting open notes, and I'm saying, I have nothing to hide and nothing to prove. I'm still alive with nothing to lose. And damn, I can't control the weather. Damn, I can't control the weather. And like it just builds, like it starts quiet. And then like I'm singing low and our bass player starts singing high. And then it gets to the third time around and we're both singing high, like dueling vocals. David's like going hard on the fucking toms. Yeah, it's...
What's the name of that song?
It's called Cabin Fever. It's unreleased.
Oh,
it's.
Did you say new shit?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. I mean, if people haven't seen us live, it's brand fucking new. But that's my stab at tiny moving parts-esque because it has like harmonics. It's like
Yeah.
dun 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 dun
Yeah.
dun dun.
And see, that's something I'm still
Yeah.
getting into is the little finesse tricks because I have sausage fingers. So I'm
But see, I do that, and then when it goes into the verse and I start singing, and it's straight 4/4, like dun 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 dun.
well, what I've been, and I was trying to make this point earlier, but I have ADHD and forget things.
See, that's fucking terrible because I do too.
Oh, dude, what's up? So the whole reason,
For those of you just listening, that was a high five.
the highest of fives. The whole reason I deviate from the typical math rock format of complex time signatures and weird tunings and all that is I remember staring at that guitar when I first got it and not knowing what to do with it and wondering what the possibilities were. And I don't want to learn these Esteban VHS tapes. These are corny. So
Yeah.
what's going to resonate with someone that's just picking up a regular old guitar, and what's going to show them the power of standard tuning 4/4, just basic. Here's what you can do.
Yeah.
And that was a big part of what I wanted to do for this album, was write something that's going to make everyone move collectively, but also at the same time, for someone that's just picking up or is trying to learn a new style or wherever you come in, it's just something that you can look at. Just have any guitar. You don't have to have special equipment. You don't need to.
Yeah. I mean, look at Tom Morello. What is his guitar was like $100 or something.
Yeah.
But then he
But you
modified
got the pedal
it.
and the pickups and the this and the that. And these days you need like an Axe effects or a $3,000 guitar. And there's just so much emphasis put on gear. Yeah. And so I want to be able to show you a cool riff that you can play on a Maxi Strat. And
so you're kind of like a bridge artist. You're not trying to do the most complex shit ever that nobody can understand. You're trying to be like, look, I know that you're playing that, but if you want to get to that, here's the bridge.
Exactly. Yeah. Because learning
that's all about that being human.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to know that everybody else is human.
Exactly. And not being bored at that, because Ed Sheeran tells us we're human all the time, but goddamn, that gets pretty boring to me personally. So
does he really?
Ed Sheeran, I can't stand Ed Sheeran personally. It's very monotonous for me.
I heard that one song that he had. I mean, I think a couple songs out of his first album, but that really like slow dance song, I heard that one, but other than that,
it's catchy. It's definitely catchy, and you can't deny that it's catchy. But I mean, we've heard the guy with the acoustic. We've heard that, and so, or at least I have, because I grew up in a small town, and so for me at least, I'm
dime a dozen.
And learning the.
That's not to say, Ed Sheeran, if you want to come on the podcast, you're totally welcome. We can
feature on my record.
You can call me out on my own podcast.
Yeah, tell me why I'm wrong.
Yes.
Just come here when you do it. But
come on, Ron.
Or like random Game of Thrones extra number 8.
Yeah.
That was weird. But learn word vomit.
Transitioning the bridge between.
Yes, so I don't want to scare people off like Animals as Leaders and Chon. Yes, they're very beautifully composed pieces of music, but
but some people might hear it and be like, oh well, I'll never play that.
Yeah,
never even try.
Yeah, it's intimidating. It's super. You're like, well, I guess I'll just give up guitar. That's the meme. Like Jason Richardson, he's so good, I want to put on a quick guitar. And so exactly, no one ever even tries, because how could I ever do that? And so it's just this a bridge between simple and insanity of, we can just kind of chill here and do this thing if you want.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I really like that term though. Yeah.
So tell me about this song that everybody is going to hear. It's called Resonate.
Oh yeah.
You sent it to me.
I did. Resonate is the song I'm going to play at Red Rocks in 3 years. That's literally the vision. Like every one of these songs
I
has
like that attitude, sir.
Thank you. Can
the backseaters open up?
Absolutely. Come on in.
Fuck yeah.
You got to get a delay pedal though.
You said I got two actually.
Oh shit! Delays on delays.
Yeah, I got one that's like my lock-in delay
Okay.
for like certain songs because in our song Phantom, the build is like a palm mute, like dun 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 dun. But when we recorded it, we left the delay on. So it's like and it sounds like a fucking helicopter taking off.
Okay.
But because David plays to a click, it has to be perfect every fucking time. So that's like my lock-in delay, but I also kind of use that as kind of like a sustain pedal as well. And then I have my other one that like I can, improvise live.
Yeah, you can use that EXP pedal on.
Doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah. Well, Resonate is definitely because I saw Humphreys at the one Red Rock show I went to. It was Humphreys McGee with Stick Figure. Probably the highest I've ever been in my life, honestly. And I remember looking at my buddy, and this was 2 years ago now.
On pots?
Huh?
On pots?
Oh,
acids?
Like several letters. So, yeah. And
on shiitakes?
Oh, no shiitakes. Some Coca-Cola, some cat mining.
You're just cat mining.
Some loose.
Is that a thing? Do people say that?
No, I just said that.
People are gonna hear this podcast.
We're gonna go mine some cats.
It's gonna turn into a fucking thing.
That's kind of my thing. Is I make things into things.
Cat mining,
bro.
Damn,
go
that's
mine
fucking
some cats.
tight.
Yeah, so I was going cat mining all the way down into the hole. Oh my god!
Digging a hole for your cat mine. You need to make that into a meme, and if you make it into a meme, then people will be like, "Who's this funny guy?" They'll go to your page, they'll figure out about the Polite Heretic, and then that's how you do it.
I'm gonna make the shirt. Let's go cat mining, and then there's gonna be a spelunking cat on the back. It's gonna be great. So yeah.
Or it could be your logo on the front, and then on the back it just says, "Let's go cat mining."
Hey,
Fuck.
My buddy sent me one the other day. Do you remember that meme of the passive aggressive hippie, and his shirt says, "You want a piece of me?"
Oh yeah.
Yeah, my buddy said that'd be a really good Polite Heretic shirt. I was like, oh shit, you're kind of right. So
damn.
But yeah, so highest I've ever been in my life at Red Rocks, and I turn and look at my buddy and I say, within 5 years, I will be on that stage playing a song. And so I have 3 years left. So I better get to going. But yeah, Resonate, when I had the image in my mind of where I want to be when I play that, it's opening stage, Red Rocks.
Hell yeah.
So Resonate's definitely the one that's Donkey Kong country, brings home the watery vibes, makes you wiggle, but it makes you think about stuff too. So it was,
and it's all instrumental.
Yeah. No Alan. I have a lot of Alan Watts vocal samples on this album.
I fucking love Alan Watts.
Yeah, me too. The Contortionist is what got me into Alan Watts.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got a very big undying love for the Contortionist.
I just had this like need inside of me to like hear philosophical shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the first thing I watched was if money wasn't a thing, what would you want to do? And that like fucking just launched me into all of his ideas. So that's fucking tight.
Yeah, thanks. So that's what Resonate is. But yeah, I definitely, Joe Rogan and Alan Watts were very much introductory for me. Like I think the one for Alan that I found first was You Are Not You, like the real you, and waking up to the real you and realizing what that is.
I've seen
and
that one.
The fact that nature abhors a vacuum, that good stuff.
Yeah.
So I heard that and I was like, okay, really cool. And then Joe Rogan was like the dumbed down version of Alan for me. Like I've heard him describe himself as the bridge between the meatheads and the potheads.
Yeah.
And I really like that. So I found Joe, found Alan, and then I found the Contortionist, specifically their Language album. And I really like the story behind it, between it and the other album, Clairvoyant, that they did. There was a really beautiful story that I resonated with, and just the way where I was at in my life with what the themes of those albums were discussing That's why I ended up getting a whole freaking chess piece about it. But from that point, I was like, oh, Alan Watts is something I need to carry with me. And
because it resonated.
Yeah.
See, that's my kind of dad jokes. Like,
It's
anybody could have made it, but I'm the one who said it.
yes.
Everyone else is like, oh yeah.
He
it's
went
not
for
funny.
it. Oh, he did it. He did the thing. Yeah. See, I like doing the thing too, and yeah, it's the thing.
For my own pleasure.
Mm.
Well, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for doing this podcast. I
What time is it?
have no fucking clue.
Oh yeah,
my
time's
goddamn
irrelevant.
phone wouldn't stop ringing, so I just turned it the fuck off. See, usually I leave it on because there has been times where I fucked up and I accidentally like don't plug in the microphone and someone's like, I can't hear you on the YouTube,
Oh, shoot.
like
Okay.
shit like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it made sense. But because people wanted to be fucking stupid, I had to turn it off.
Fair
but
enough. Well, it's like 9:00.
Hell yeah. Well, I am super stoked that we got to do this.
Me too,
and
man.
You, when you're getting ready to put out the album, let's do it again.
I'm down.
Also, I think it'd be fucking sick to do a podcast with you, me, and David.
Oh yeah,
It'd
very
be
much down.
philosophical, musical.
Oh yeah,
rhythmic.
when
Be fucking badass.
when. Like,
Dude,
yeah.
fucking talk to David.
Yeah.
We'll
drag
create
him down.
a
He doesn't
message
say no
group.
to shit. We'll get him down here in no time.
Hell yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, thanks again for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
You're
The
good.
Polite Heretic, and the song is called Resonate. And that's where the recording will end.
All right.
Thank you to the people of YouTube who watched.
Yeah. Appreciate y'all.
Yeah. And I'm going to be doing a lot more podcasts coming up. So no more long breaks. Love you. Goodbye.